Welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. My name is George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education so you can create your ultimate destiny. And I am so excited to be here with my buddy, friend, business entrepreneur, singer, songwriter, Nathan Osmond. Nathan, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody. Well, meet my publicist right here.
Yeah, exactly.
What an intro. I love that.
This guy is awesome. And I definitely want to intro you, but I'll tell you, the reason I'm excited about today's episode is you have such a diverse background. You're such an entrepreneur that I know people are going to get some value bombs out of this conversation that we're going to have.
I hope
so before we get started, let me just introduce, for those of you that don't know Nathan, he's a singer, songwriter, award-winning, and he's an entrepreneur, an international speaker, motivator. He's someone that has had a lot of experience in business and overcome a lot of obstacles. Your last four latest singles, all number one on independent or on several country charts, and your number one hit, Stars and Stripes, you co-wrote on the independent charts. And you mentioned that the video was picked up and also...
Music Video of the Year at the Filmed in Utah Awards. We filmed it in the Salt Flats, but we also were able to put in there actual combat footage. I had to get special permission from the Army Chief of Public Affairs. But anyone that's watched this, that's had any type of family that's served in the military, really is touched by this video.
It's
and
a pretty emotional.
It
it's like an emotional kind of, like it really ties you in, right?
Yeah, we featured a real Marine couple from Utah that I met, and this was their story when they first heard the song. When I asked them if they'd be in the video, they were so like, how'd you know our story?
Well, you are a storyteller, and not only that, we'll get into how you use music to sort of help people make changes and things like that. But before we do that, you've opened for Chris Young, Carrie Underwood, Clay Walker, Lone Star. You got great relationships in the music industry, and you've been nominated Male Artist of the Year and New Artist of the Year by New Music Awards in LA. And so that's your country music career, but you're also an international speaker. You've shared the stage with like Tony Robbins and George Foreman and Donald Trump and Les Brown. You do motivational training as well as speaking, and you travel all over. If you follow this guy on Instagram, like he's in a different city or a new monument every day of the week, and he's the best storyteller. It's insane. So anyway, the reason I bring all that up is you have this diverse background of music and business and speaking, and you use music as the power to kind of create change and help people and heal and business and go to the next level. So what I want to do today is I want to talk a little bit about your career. Well, first, your background kind of growing up in the music business, because you grew up in the music business, and then your career, and then business, and I have some cool questions. So can you sort of give us a little bit of background on growing up in the business? Because I think that's fascinating.
Well, I'll give you a little bit of my pedigree here. Alan Osmond, who's the oldest of the Osmond brothers, remember them from the 1970s and 80s? He's my father. So I grew up on the set of the Donnie and Marie show as a little kid, got to work with all my favorite TV characters, and I didn't even know that wasn't normal. I thought everybody had a TV studio, and that's just what people did. But it was sure fun. And I got to tour on the tour buses with them, and I would watch my father from the side of the stage, and always just thought it looked like so much fun. Well, we caught the bug early on as kids when we were on that Donnie Marie show. I just posted yesterday on my Instagram page when I was singing with Tony Geary from General Hospital, dressed up as a little leprechaun. But that's where I got my start. I used to be really shy, and it wasn't until I went on Good Morning America when I was 9 years old with my family. And
9 years old, you're on.
We're promoting the the Osmond tour. We were just kind of the sideshow, but we got to tour with them. And the thing is that Joan London singled me out on the show and said, "So Nathan, do you enjoy this entertainment business?" And guess who freezes on national TV?
No, shut up.
I did.
You've never frozen. You always have something to say.
Well,
you're 9.
Don't believe that I was shy up until my sophomore year of high school. But I froze and I said, "Yes, ma'am." That's the only thing I said on the whole show was "yes, ma'am," and she liked that. But my father jumped in, saved the interview, and after the show, he says to me, "Nathan, it's a talk show. Talk. People want to hear what you have to say." And I was humiliated at first. I felt I let my family down on national TV. But at the same time, my coach, my hero, my dad, looked at me and said, "People want to hear what you have to say."
Any other person would have had an experience like that and probably introverted the rest of their life because you couldn't, you couldn't feel like it was bad, right?
I believe any skill is learnable, but you have to get coaching. And my dad worked with me.
You're saying the whole time?
No,
right.
We were about ready to go on Regis and Kathy Lee, and he says they're not here to interview me; they're here to interview you, Nathan. I want 2 answers coming out of your face. I like it because, and he worked with me. We used to jump up and down and shake our hands.
Preparation.
It's like going out to play a football game. He says it's television. I want you to make Regis laugh. He was the producer of the Donnie and Marie show.
Wow.
And so we had great coaching as kids. growing up that helped me to get out of my shell. Now they can't get me to shut up. So
it's
anyway,
funny you
it
mentioned
worked.
coaching, because we talk so much about having a mentor and a coach. You had the best. You had a father, role model, mentor, coach that really helped you, and so that's true. So what was there a point in time? Because you have a lot of relatives that obviously grew up in the business. Was there a point in time that helped you shift to knowing that you wanted to do it? Because I think the idea of being a celebrity or being in that business probably is appealing to most people. It doesn't mean they can have the success you had. But was there a point that you shifted? Or?
My father early on said, guys, I'm not just going to hand this to you. If you want this, prove it. We had to earn it. They were known as the one-take Osmonds. My dad was 12 years old when he became a regular on the Andy Williams shows. And he was the oldest of the group. Yeah. And so we get up at 6 a.m. every morning, rehearse. And we did this local TV show. Bob Hope read this little article that People Magazine wrote about, this new generation of Osmonds. And he says, I want those boys on my show. So we go on Bob Hope's show. Curb Records sees that. They made the Osmonds big once before. They said, let's do it again. So we signed our first record deals. We have major hits over in Europe and also in the UK and in Japan and other places. Toured with New Kids on the Block, with the Tokyo Dome, Osaka Stadium, Wembley, and just had a lot of fun. But then, I went and served a mission for our church. I took 2 years off because I think it's important to give back, and the gospel's a big thing for me. So I went to Chile for 2 years, Santiago, and so I speak Spanish now.
Yeah, you speak Spanish.
That has come in so handy with everything I've done in my life. But the cool part is that when I came back, I did 2 years of the musical Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor of the Dreamcoat for 2 years, and then I went to go to school. But music was still in my DNA. And right after I got married in 2002, I did a musical, Annie Get Your Gun. My new wife, like Sarah, we've only been married for a couple of weeks, sees me in this cowboy hat and these chaps, and she's like, you're supposed to be a country singer. And I said, really? It was her idea.
Really? No
She
way.
takes
That's
that back
awesome.
sometimes, but it was her idea. I said, really? Yeah, a lot of the songs you're writing, they're so crossover. You got the look, when you grow your goatee. So anyways, I got to work with the group Lone Star. It was on the 4th of July, and I was so excited. I said, I've always loved this group. I'd love to just write with them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Maybe get my foot in the door
Everybody
as a
knows
writer.
yeah.
And so I go up to the keyboard player because I play keys, and I figured we have something in common. And I said, hey, is that your keyboard? Of course it was. He was just playing it. But I said, hey, it's been my dream to come out to Nashville and write with you guys sometime. He says, well, here's my email. When you're out there next time. You just
cold talk to him?
I just I just talked right to him, and he gave me his
determination.
email address on a napkin. And I thought it can't be that easy. So I go to the lead singer. He also gives me his email addresses. So now I know they're not going to call me. I've got to create the opportunity. Yeah. So I emailed Dean shortly thereafter and said, hey, I'm coming out to Nashville between this date and this date. Hadn't even booked the ticket yet. Just kind of gave a window, and I made sure it was right around Christmas time. Not too close, but close enough.
Smart,
right?
Yeah.
So I figured he'd be off the road. He says, well, I'm producing a duo. Come on out. I'll tell you what I can't do when I get out there. Anyways, I booked my hotel, ticket, everything. Now I have everything but the guy's phone number. I got his email, but now I'm going to Nashville. I said, hey, Dean, I'm coming out in 2 days. Can I get a studio number or phone number? I can reach you? Nothing. Silence. I'm like, Dean, I'm coming out like tomorrow. It's like 10 o'clock at night. I really need a phone number to call you. Nothing. And so now I go out to Nashville, and I said, network. So I started calling every one of my music friends in the business. I called up this drummer friend of ours.
Holy cow, man.
Finally, and he toured with Jody Messina. He's like, I think I got a tour manager number. So that's perfect. That's the closest thing I found. So I call up Coach. That's what they called him. And I said, Coach, this is Nathan Osmond. We work with you guys on the 4th of July. I'm supposed to be out here riding with Dean Sams. I know he's got his new studio. I tried to act like I knew the guy really well.
Act as if.
I said, do you happen to have a studio number on him? And he goes, all I have is his personal cell phone number. I said, perfect. And I asked for it, and he gave it to me. Now I'm in the studio with my friend Jason Deere, who is a great producer. I had Miranda Lambert in the next room. I met her that day. I was going to make the most of this trip. But I call him up, and I said, I'm here at the studio. Miranda Lambert's in here. And I'm here to take you up on your offer to write. He goes, I thought I gave you my number. I says, no, I got it from your tour manager. He says, let me call you back in 10. He doesn't call me back in 10 or half hour, totally 2 hours, 4 hours. I'm thinking he's thinking, I got this psycho Osmond fan in my backyard with my cell phone now, and he's in Nashville. So anyways, I started becoming Charlie Brown. I really started beating myself up. Oh, good grief, right? 10:30 at night, I'm out in front of the Wild Horse Saloon. And my phone goes off, and it's Dean Sams. He says, Nate, I'm an idiot. I totally forgot to call you back. What are you doing right now? I said, I'm in my car, driving to your house. How the heck do I get there? He said, I love your tenacity.
Dude, seriously.
That's what you got to have to make it in this business.
And I want you to finish your story. But
Yeah.
listen to me. You didn't know. You got a ticket. You came out anyway. You got an email on a napkin. You didn't even talk. You don't even have a way to contact the guy. Mm-hmm. You wait all day. Most everybody else would have jumped on a plane and gone home, or they would have felt like totally horrible. And then here you are. Now what happens?
I was determined to make this work. So at almost midnight at night, I'm driving out with no GPS.
Guy thinks you're crazy.
Calling and just trying to find my way out to Franklin, Tennessee. I find his house. I make my way in there. There he is with another songwriter sitting there, and he has a great piano. He says, sit down. Let me see what you got. In other words, prove yourself.
Oh,
so
on
now,
the spot?
On the spot, I pull out some of my, just snippets of my best stuff that I'd written. He goes, you wrote that? I said, yeah. He says, play another one. And I did. Play another one. And finally cuts me off. He says, Nate, 3 things. 1, I hate you. And I didn't know what to think. And he goes, because I'm a keyboard player and you make that look easy. 2, what are you doing in Utah? We got to get you out here to Nashville. You have so much to offer this town, vice versa. And number 3, tomorrow at 9 o'clock, guess who's coming to my house to write? You are. So I thought to myself, okay, I'm just making friends with this guy, play up on the ego a little bit. Guy's a great guy. Pull out my recorder. He says, do you have any starters, any songs that you've been working on? I record a melody. The next day, I just listened to this song over and over again. And I said, what is this song supposed to be about? Got on my knees, said prayers. And I worked out the whole song. I wrote the whole song before I even showed up for the writing session.
By the next day?
Yeah, by the next day I had this whole song written. And I said, hey, Dean, I threw this together. Let me see what you think of this. He said, you wrote that? I said, yeah, I just kind of threw it together. I spent all day on that thing.
Dude, everybody the way he tells his story, it does sound super easy, and this is what is so gifted about Nathan. But think about it: made a commitment ahead of time, got out there, got rejected. Now he's getting some confidence. But by the way, don't skip over the fact that had you not prepared over and over and over and over and been talented, you wouldn't have even done well at that. Yeah. And then you spent all night long writing the song.
And I spent all day, and I show up, and we tweaked it, we changed it, we made it better. But that night, I recorded not only the piano, but the vocal on the demo of a song that we wrote. Well, guess what? They loved that song so much that Lone Star tied it up, and I'm thinking, it can't be that easy. My first song I write in Nashville, one of my favorite country bands, ties it up. Well, ... the rest of the story, Paul Harvey. A couple days go by, and I get this out of the blue phone call from Dean. He says, you're not going to believe this, but our lead singer, Richie McDonald, of 14 years, just emailed the band and said that he's going solo.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm going, there goes my big opportunity out the window. There goes one of my favorite bands.
This is a roller coaster of emotions
falling
right now.
apart, and I'm going, think fast. Do whatever you got to do to create an opportunity. So I said, well, Dean, if you're not going to record that song, do you mind if I do? It's always been my dream to record my own country album. And he says to me, well, why don't you just come out to my house and we'll do it right? And I said, I'll take you up on that. I'm a doer.
Yeah, you're probably on your way already.
I was already there. That's one of their songs. I'm already there.
Oh, that was good. That was good. No, but I can't let you skip over this because you make it so easy. Right when that happened, most people would be like, all right, that's it. This is the last time getting hit in the face. Now I can't even do anything in the song. And you immediately thought, what can I do? It's in those moments of thinking quickly, not stopping, because you can get caught pretty quick in the downward spiral of a major obstacle, right? But immediately thought, and then you pushed forward, and maybe didn't like right off the bat, but it's like major
What
change.
do I have to lose?
Yeah.
I said, hey, the real reason I wanted to do this is my wife said I should be a country singer. I was going to just get my foot in the door as a writer. He already knows I can write now.
You're in the door.
Why don't I just go ahead and jump to the real dream? And that was to do my own music. So I went out there and I produced. In fact, I had to tell people I was working for a company as a seminar director, as an MC, and we were doing 155 conferences a year. In fact, I was working with this guy right here. Get this. I didn't tell these guys that I was taking time off to go record with Lone Star.
Yeah, you don't want somebody to steal your dream.
No,
man. It's like,
you don't tell your boss that, right? So here's what
I
I
would have
did.
probably come out with him.
You probably would have, but
I'm going.
I said, I need some time off. My brother's getting married. I need a week off. You need a week off? I said, you know how many Osmonds there are? You know how long that reception line is? They laughed. So they let me off. But what I really did is when I finished in Atlanta, I took a plane to Nashville. And Dean picked me up. We did 4 sides. But then I had I had a demo. I had 4 recorded songs in Nashville.
With an awesome expert
I then took down to a friend I met as a kid. His name is Gary Baker, one of the most amazing songwriters. He wrote I Swear. He wrote I'm Already There for Lone Star. All these great hits. He wrote for Alabama. He now heard what I had produced, and he says, wow. He says, I can do something with you. And so we went to the studio and we recorded the rest of the album. And 4 consecutive number ones later, we're still trying to figure out what we want to do when we grow up.
No, but I'm telling you, there's some principles here that I love that you brought up, because it's not just applicable to music, right? In other words, you have multiple businesses, you've been a speaker, you've done all these different types, you're speaking all the time now, and we have a principle with the prosperity pillars that I created, which is, I create my life.
Yep.
And we talk about things like how you do anything is how you do everything. And what I've noticed about you is it's that tenacious, confident, drive, positive attitude. And so I think it applies to business as much as anything else. I mean, there's lessons to be learned in your story, which I think you continue to do, which is you continue to be persistent, consistent. You continue with your dream. Even when you notice he's working, making money, doing a job, his active income, whatever, in order to create this dream that he's got.
I was selling women's shoes at Nordstrom. I was playing their piano, but I did anything I had to make it. And I think that's really the key, is if you hang on long enough where others give up, eventually you will win. And you have to want it more than anything else in the world. And what are you willing to sacrifice? And I'm married. I got 4 kids, and they come first to me. But there's been some hard times sometimes where you're going after a dream where you have to find balance too.
How do you? I was going to ask you that question. How do you create balance
with
with all these things?
You marry a low-flying angel. That's what you do. But
I've heard that.
She has put up with a lot with my traveling schedules. But we understand that we're a team. We work together. We have 4 children. Our oldest son was diagnosed with PDD-NOS, which at the time was on the autism spectrum. So God has his ways of throwing curveballs at you, and you got to learn. It humbles you. And I've been able to help now a lot of people that have children that are on the spectrum to have understanding and peace and resources of what they can do to help their kids. We had a son we thought had leukemia. We've had a lot of bumps, right? But we've been so blessed. The thing is that you learn something through all of these trials, and it's not easy. My father, who's the oldest of the Osmonds, as I said, he's had MS, multiple sclerosis, for 32 years, ever since I was 10. And that's a hard thing, but out in front of his house, we have a family acronym, and it says, life is tough, TUFF. And he always says that to me. He says, Nathan, life is tough, but so are you. But here's what the acronym stands for: target, understand, focus, and fight. This is how you get tough in life. Just like going after my dream. Say that one more time. Target, understand, focus, and fight. Because you got to have a target. What is your target? Just like in Alice in Wonderland, where the Cheshire Cat says, well, if you don't know where you want to go, it doesn't matter which road you take. George Harrison wrote the song, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Just like the Scarecrow and the Wizard of Oz, we got to know where we're headed. So have a target. Maybe that's a financial goal. Maybe that's a weight goal. Maybe that's a career goal. But then you have to understand what it's going to take, because it's not going to be easy. You got to get tough.
I like understanding. I haven't heard a lot of people say that. If you understand, then you're prepared for that setback to hit you, and you know you're going to handle it, right?
Oh, I called my Uncle Donnie up when I started getting into this business, and he says, you better have thick skin, bud. He says, because not everybody's going to like you.
That's great advice,
That's a hard thing to do as an entertainer, because our goal is to make everybody like us. And just know that not everybody's going to do that. I didn't tell my family at all, by the way, that I was going out to Nashville to pursue this goal. I just show up to a wedding with 4 sides cut with Lone Star. They said, when did this happen? I said, exactly. When awesome. No one was looking, because I didn't want them to talk me out of my dream.
You got to know when to keep certain people at bay and protect your ability to do things,
I understood that I was related to people that loved me so much they didn't want to see me get hurt. You ever heard that? You know what? Here's the secret in life. Don't tell everybody everything you're doing. Just go out and do it. Then once you start to get the results that you want, people will take notice of that. And then they're going to start asking you better questions like, how did you do that?
I tell you, I want to finish this acronym, but I got to say that's an amazing comment, because I've heard a lot lately, especially by guys like Ed Milet and many others. It's like we say, eliminate negative people from your life. No, some people are so close to you and they care so much about you that they're still not going to be your biggest fans, but you need to understand that and separate them. So there's that. And then there's just Go out and do it. Stop talking about it.
Yeah.
You talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And what's going to help? You talking about it and caring what people think, or just doing it? I love that.
Yeah.
So that's understanding.
Well, understanding what it's going to take and committing to it. I learned the importance of writing down goals with Brian Tracy when we were working with him.
Yeah, yeah.
I pulled out my wallet. We were in California once, and I showed my list of my goals for that year to Brian Tracy. I said, look, it says what I will do this year. And he smiled. He's got those big, bright teeth. And he said, that's wonderful, Nathan. Now, can I teach you a little something about goal setting? I said, Brian, you've created more millionaires than anyone I know. I'm getting a one-on-one with Brian Tracy right now.
Notes, yeah.
He says, I want you to take those same goals, and I want you to rewrite them as if you're already living them. I call it goals in the present. Okay? So, like, I weigh this much. I have this much money coming in every year, and here's how I'm doing it. I read this many books. I wasn't reading that much at the time. That year, I read 17 books. I weighed 250
Did you do that for your music business and everything? Like, did you write goals in all those areas?
Oh, I visualized my best self, and I said, here's who I am.
Oh, wow.
Even though I wasn't there yet, I pretended I was. And as I read it daily, they're like affirmations. I am this. I have this. I do this. And then I started believing it. And then my body started to react that way because I was 250 pounds at the time. And I wrote, I'm 200 pounds. I have a size 34 waist.
Wow.
And at the time, my cholesterol was off the charts. I went to see the doctor. He said that my LDL, it was like, it was incalculable. My triglycerides were incalculable. It was like he was looking at a heart attack about ready to happen. So as I started to work with all these people on stage, Larry Scott, the 64-year-old muscle man. Remember when we brought him in?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Wonderful guy. He influenced Arnold Schwarzenegger to get into
Surround yourself with amazing people.
I said, now, do you do like a lot of abs, sit-ups and stuff? He says, I do no sit-ups. You're 64. How do you have rock solid abs? He says, well, Nathan, I actually worked out my abs in the shower today. I said, I don't know if I want to know what you did in the shower today, but I am actually kind of curious. He taught me about isotonics. He taught me about the ratios between carbs and proteins. He said, slim fast should be called slim slow. It's an oxymoron. You're starving yourself. But look at the back of Muscle Milk. It's twice as many proteins as there are carbs. Do that in 3 workouts a week. You're done. I started doing what he told me. He even gave me a little blender, and I brought that on the road. But 4 months later, I resembled what my goal in the present said. I was 200 pounds. I had a size 34 waist in 4 months.
See, but the fact that you wrote that affirmation and your mind was thinking about that, you all of a sudden started to target things. You got people in your life, you got people that are helping you, things you're learning. And we talk about that a lot, is that when you write down your goals or when you focus on what you want, your mind will find the things you need to do it, and then it helps you accomplish it. So that's huge. It
takes faith. It really does. And you have to understand that it's gonna take work. It's gonna take throwing your heart over the bar. And just like when I went out to Nashville, I didn't know exactly what would happen. All I knew is that I was supposed to go out there. I was following my dream, following my heart, and whatever was supposed to happen would work out. But I had to do everything. My friend Les Brown always says that. He says, Nathan, be sure that you do. All you can do is all you can do. But all you can do is enough. Just be sure you do all you can do.
Yeah, I love
So
Les.
I said, I remembered I could hear these echoings of all these people I'd worked with as I was going through that Nashville experience. And it served as mentoring, coaches along the way that helped me get the confidence I needed to say to Dean Sams at midnight, I'm coming to your house tonight. And we're writing, and he loved it. So the thing is that you have to have focus, because that's the next letter in the acronym. And focus is a big problem in today's world. We have Instagram or whatever we're scrolling.
We're distracted so much.
We're so distracted, and I'm ADD as it is, and so my wife's always having to reel me in. And if I don't have goals in the present, if I don't have a focus or a dream that I'm constantly working on, it's just a wish. But when you commit a dream to paper, it's a dream with a deadline. And you give yourself a deadline, just like I did. But the thing is that you have to focus, because you're going to have all sorts of people telling you why, every reason in the book why you can't do it.
No, but I like what you said about one of the strategies to create focus is write it down, because most entrepreneurs are shiny object guys. Like, we know a lot of them, right? It's like, oh, here's a great deal and I'm working on it. Oh, there's another great idea. But when you write it down and it is a goal and it is something you're focused on, on paper, you are going to stay focused too. So I love that.
It reminds
focus
me
is huge.
something I learned right from the man himself, Stephen R. Covey. I was giving a tour before the Olympics. I hosted American Express and all their CEOs during the Olympics, and produced some big events and stuff that they did before, all the extracurricular activities. We were going to host some dinners in some really famous people's homes here in Utah. I thought, who better than Stephen Covey?
Yeah.
So I brought my boss, Stan Smith, the old tennis player.
Oh, okay.
The Adidas shoe guy.
Yeah.
And his team with me. We went through, and Steven's wife was there. She gave us the tour of the house and just all these great quotes on the walls. I saw his library. But then finally at the end of the tour, he comes out of his office. He says, "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to be a bad host. But what I'm focused on right now is trying to get myself to focus on one topic for 1 hour straight a day." And you just happened to come right at that time when he was in his office.
Wow.
And so even though this Olympic gold medalist, or I think he's a gold medalist, but he coached the Olympic team, the tennis team. He's got an Adidas shoe named after him. Even though he was there at his house, he still didn't come out until he was done focusing on his one topic. Yeah. And then he signed books for all of us. But I thought I learned something that day, that even Stephen Covey needs to work on himself to focus for 1 hour a day on one thing. If you can get yourself to do it for even 20 minutes on one thing, it's amazing. You got to shut out the distractions. You got to tune out the naysayers. You got to really just hone in on why you're doing what you're doing. I know we talk a lot about that on podcasts. What's your why? Yeah. But it's so true. If you know your why, you can overcome any how. And the last part of it is, of course, F for fight. My father, who's a fighter, he was a black belt trained by Chuck Norris.
Oh, no
so
way.
He's got some toughness
He was?
in him.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
All the Osmonds were black belts.
Wow,
trained
that's
by
cool.
Chuck Norris, who's coming to Utah this year. I'm excited to finally meet him.
That's
but
cool.
He says, you got to put
he's definitely a definition of fight.
That's right. You got to put the oomph in triumph, And so I said, okay. So I had to really learn to work as a child. Like my father's dad, he said, "I'm not just going to hand it to you.
Yeah.
You prove to me that you want this.
Fight for it.
Get up in the morning. Get out there and sweat at 6 a.m. before you go to school. Tell your friends you can't play right now because you got to rehearse. You show me that you want it bad enough, I'll start opening some doors." But that work ethic is carried on with me.
That's a good point, because fight, most entrepreneurs say they want it. They say they want it, but do they fight for it? Meaning, are they just absolutely hungry? Do they do it? Do they go? Do they fly somewhere not knowing how they're even going to get there? Are you fighting for it? Oh, it's funny. I just noticed our apparel brand had fight. So that's the last acronym in the Osmond acronym in front of the house.
And failure is not an option.
Failure is not an option. Yeah. So you know what? This is interesting because I love that acronym. In fact, we hadn't even talked about that before, and that becomes such a great, unique way for people to look at being tough. Being tough. So let me ask you a question, because I know we're getting short on time here, but one of the things I wanted to ask you is this. One of the things we focus on with our podcast is people ask the question all the time, like, how do I get started? I'm in a rut. I'm not here. And this whole podcast is about helping people unleash their potential. We know that they have a lot of, abilities and talents and things inside them. Was there a point in your career or in business or, one of your businesses or career or whatever, that you felt like there was either an event or a story or a specific time that you really felt things shift for you? And when was that, and what did you do? And I know we have multiple times like that in our lives as we level up, but was there a particular one that came to mind, and was there a trigger or something that helped you to really unleash what you were doing or your potential, whether it was in music or whether it was in your entrepreneurial career, anything that made you shift how dedicated you were? Because you've always been a pretty dedicated guy, but I think I've seen some massive changes over the last few years with your music and your business and things like that.
Yeah, I just remember wanting to do what I wanted to do so badly and not really having the freedom because, we were so busy doing a lot of the speaking, which has become such a blessing because I got to meet all those people, those coaches along the way. Sometimes you have to endure what you're in for the season that you're in it, because guess what? Life will change.
But that came back to benefit you.
Came back to benefit me. So even though right now life might be tough, look around and ask yourself, what can I learn in this situation that I'm in right now? But don't ever stop dreaming. They actually have done studies with kids that they try and take every age group and see which percentage of this age group is highly creative. And in every age group, it's like 2%. 2% are considered highly creative until you get down to about the about the 8-year-olds or 7-year-olds, and they're about 10%. But then you get down to 5-year-olds, and about 90% of 5-year-olds are considered highly creative. And it's interesting that between 5 and 7, what happens? We get plugged into the school systems. We're stand in line, stand it straight. These are the rules. Here's what you must do. You got to go to college to get any job in your life. And there's some truth to some of that. But we start believing all the rules were way too structured. I just looked at this one documentary, In Search of Greatness, and it's an amazing one. If you haven't seen that one, watch it.
I saw that on Delta.
Delta, yes.
Yeah, it was like Wayne Gretzky.
And all these things. One of the things they learned is that these kids that have truly excelled is they had the freedom to be able to go do what they wanted. You look at Google and people like these companies that allow their people on certain days to have freedom to work on any project they want. Apple does that as well. And when you have the freedom to dream, a lot of the biggest problem we have in life is we stop dreaming. I tell people I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But in the meantime, why not have fun and enjoy what it is that you do? Love
You're a
what
dreamer
you do.
For sure.
Walt Disney was a dreamer. And I love that he had a vision for life. In fact, he never got to live to see Epcot, and they interviewed Roy Disney while they opened it on the opening day, and he says, it's a shame that Walt didn't get a chance to see this. And Roy corrected them by saying, no, we see it because he saw it first.
Yeah.
And
sometimes I think, a lot of people, especially as you get older, like you said, you lose your creativity and your dream, and they keep saying, well, how do I find my passion? How do I this and that? Sometimes it's as simple as thinking back to when you were younger, because when we were kids, we did know what we loved. We did know what we loved to do. And I think that your parents kind of encouraged that through you, and you've had a lot of obstacles and things to come over. But I think that's so true on that study, right? It's like when you're a kid, you knew what you loved doing. You knew where it was. And there's a lot of talents you haven't developed. But I think that that's a huge, huge testament to the fact that we've been structured, and we need to that's why I love this whole unleash your potential. Is sometimes you have to tear down all these structures you put in place, because it's time for you to really, truly get back your passion. And that's why I love hanging out with you, is because you're passionate about your music, business. Your passion kind of carries through to all those areas, and that's
have to take
massive
action. That's what Tony Robbins always taught all of us, is that if you really want it, what are you willing to do today to prove me that? Because like my father said, if you want it, I'll help you. If you're not going to show me that you want it bad enough, I'd just rather you guys live normal lives and just go back to school and do your stuff. But you have to be willing to take massive action. But having a target and understanding what it's going to take, having focus, and, of course, the fight to go after it, that's the secret to getting tough in life. If life gets tough, get tough right back.
That's right. Well, I love the acronym, and so I know we got to go here. But what you got any like projects on the horizon here?
All
that
sorts
are
of projects. We got
happening?
new technology coming out. I was just showing you that. Yeah. It's going to be really cool. We got new music coming your way. I'll be speaking a whole lot this year. You can go to nathanosmond.com and look at my tour schedule. Also, my Instagram page is at Nathan Osmond. Make sure you follow me there, because I'll be releasing
awesome stories,
lots of stories, but also working on a new podcast. So I was just so grateful I got to come on your podcast here. But
dude, I love it.
I hope when it comes out, you'll tell all your fans about it.
No question. This
amazing.
is the guy to follow, because I'll tell you, if you're looking for kind of a pick-me-up energy, that's the one thing he always brings is energy, passion, music. We'll have to do another episode where we have
history. We're going to tell some great historical stories that we can all relate to.
Great stories. You remind me of Les Brown. You are a storyteller.
Thank you.
And it's always
He's my mentor.
Here's the thing I love about your content and your information, which is why you got to follow this guy. Is he uses music, and he uses the content and the humor he has to help you strategically make change. It's not just to have fun, and fun is great, but there's always great messages behind it. There's great parables, there's great stories. That's why Les Brown's such an amazing storyteller, is his stories help you to create change in your life, and I think you're great at that. And
he and I sat in a studio years back, and I started telling a story, and in the middle of telling the story, he says, "Nathan, cut." And of course, they kept recording, and I have recording of him coaching me. He says, "Nathan, when you tell a story, go there. Relive it, refeel it. And when you tell the story with passion, you have the ability to change lives." I never forgot that. So I always try to go back and visit, like, what did I feel when I was going through those emotions in Nashville when I didn't even have a contact on the guy?
Love it.
What went through my mind, and what did I pray for? I mean, I got off my knees and I went and did something about it. I networked. I called my friends and I said, "Can I come sit in the studio and just be a fly on the wall and watch what you do?" I'm just trying to get inspired. I took a recorder down to the reason I was even down on Broadway at 10:30 at night is because I took my recorder. I said, what is this place, Broadway, where all these famous people hung out? I'm going to interview cowboys on the street. I still have those recordings.
You made the best of the moment. I got to tell you,
got to milk it for all
this
it's worth.
is huge, and you're definitely an in the moment guy. I love that because you're grateful, you show gratitude, appreciation for what you have, and yet you're driven by what you want. But you don't just let your vision rob you of the present, and so that's a really big thing.
I'm just a big kid, you know.
Kid.
I still dream. I was just in Washington D.C. in a suit on a scooter in front of the White House. You know, that's the kind of guy.
Did you post that on Instagram?
How do you think I got to all those monuments in one
I
morning?
love it. I love it.
I'm
you're
a big
like
kid.
in between speaking and your
live
little
life.
scooter.
Yes, you know.
We got to do that in Hawaii.
We got to do that.
He's doing shows on cruise ships.
Oh,
We're going to have to
man.
do a cruise and invite people to come out to the cruise with us.
Called Welcome to the Party. That's our tour.
Sweet.
I'm doing a concert this week in Phoenix. So if you're down in Phoenix, it's a surprise. It's going to benefit the homeless down there. We're going to do a big concert there. But I got my whole tour schedule lined up. So
hey, I want to do a call with you later on and talk a little bit about your charity work because you're major into charity. But listen, man, I really appreciate you being here. I
love this podcast. I'm a big fan of it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I subscribe. And listen daily.
We definitely appreciate you coming here. There's a lot of lessons to be learned, and anything I can do to help you. I mean, obviously, I love working with you. So, anyway, thanks, folks. Listen, I want to sign off here. That's great. Comments, thoughts. We're going to post this. We're going to send this back. Follow Nathan on his website and on Instagram. What's your name on Instagram?
At Nathan Osmond.
At Nathan Osmond.
Yeah.
And
I also have one at Nathan Osmond Speaks, just for my speaking business.
Okay,
too.
cool.
Yeah,
you're going to love the story. So anyway, thanks for being here. I know you have greatness inside of you. It's time to start living the life you're meant to live. I'm George Wright III here with Nathan Osmond, the amazing, awesome Osmond, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks. Have a great day.